I graduated in 1989.
That's when I was born.
2004.
Yeah, wow.
Wow, okay. Just for perspective, just for perspective.
And I didn't want to come here. I knew absolutely nothing about Korea. I'm still here. You know, it was always going to be one more year, and it's been 35 of those.
Me searching far and wide for
No trash cans.
USA
Yes.
having a
Yes,
huge,
yes.
Totally agree. It's
Okay.
gotten better. Now you
Really?
can find yes or no, looks matter in Korea.
Yes. It's not to like a discriminatory level, I'd say.
I don't know
okay,
about that.
Maybe.
I think, yeah, definitely. You're not generally gonna have to worry about things getting stolen,
Yes.
except maybe an umbrella.
Or a bicycle.
Yes or no, Koreans drink a lot.
Yes.
Qualified, yes.
Yeah,
And the-
asterisk. There's
Okay.
yes.
Hi, my name is Lillian, and you can call me Lily. I'm from Northern Virginia. I'm currently a student at the University of Hawaii at Manoa.
Ooh.
And I just came to Korea last July, and I leave in a couple weeks.
Oh wow, that's exciting. What do you study?
I'm a Korean for Professionals major.
Oh, Korean for professionals. Very nice. Well, my name is Cameron. I'm from the US as well. I'm from Arkansas. I've been in Korea for 11 years now.
11 years.
So yeah, it's been a while. I currently work in broadcasting, mostly English education, but I do some other like 예능 variety show stuff sometimes. And that's me.
My name is Mike, and I've been in Korea for 35 years. My wife is Korean. We're having our 27th anniversary next year.
Wow.
But I'm also from America. I come from suburban Atlanta in the state of Georgia. And I work remotely for a tech nonprofit. But more importantly, I have my own YouTube channel.
Oh, do you?
Called Mike from Korea. I've been doing that for about 2.5 years, where I share Korea through my eyes based on my experience and my interests.
That I belong in Korea.
All right, so now that we've introduced ourselves, they have prepared some questions for us. First one is...
What brought you to Korea?
Yes, what brought you to Korea? So why don't we start over here again?
All right. I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to study Korean as my high school second language. I started wanting to learn Korean because I liked K-pop and I found BTS music videos really interesting. I wanted to be able to understand it without looking at the subtitles or things like that. So it started from that, and then a program that my university has done with Korea universities, I was selected to be a part of that, and that brought me to Korea University for 1 year.
Oh, wow. I'm so surprised that they study Korean in high school now. Even, I'm 36, so I graduated high school in 2008. I cannot imagine having like Korean language classes in high school. That's awesome.
Yeah, I graduated in 1989. And
That's when I was born.
I was born in 2004.
Yeah, wow.
Wow, okay. Just for perspective, just for
Put that out there.
perspective.
We had French and Spanish. That was it.
Same
Those
here.
are the only two options
Yeah.
we had.
Korean, Japanese, Arabic, French, German, Italian, lots of options that are
Sounds like
that
a
are high
language
school.
school.
That's cool. What are you, do you go to school at the UN? So I first came to Korea in 2009. I had just finished a study abroad program in Japan, actually. So I minored in Japanese in university. I had met some Korean friends while I was in the US, so I popped on over here just to kind of vacation and see them for about 2 weeks. And I had such a good time on that trip in 2009. I decided I wanted to come back and study Korean for real. I'd already graduated, so I first came as an English teacher and then transitioned into a language student and did a bunch of different stuff. So, but I'm interested to know,
Yes.
back in, what year did you come to
1991,
1991.
June 5th, 1991.
Okay.
I
Anything
remember the day because
memorable?
I was in the Army and I had just finished my training. And the thing was, this was right at the end of the Gulf War.
Ah, yeah.
And
Okay.
we were on a chartered passenger flight that landed at Osan Air Base in Songtan. That was interesting experience because, Songtan is countryside and it's summer and it's surrounded by rice paddies.
Ah.
So my very first impression of Korea stepping off that plane was the smell of manure.
Oh, okay.
But I can imagine like rural Georgia, if you've ever been there in the summer, would be similar.
But I didn't go to rural Georgia very often. I was a suburban boy.
Yeah, okay.
And I didn't want to come here. I knew absolutely nothing about Korea. I knew there had been a war here. I knew the TV show MASH.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I knew. But I made the most of my time here. I enjoyed it. I came in with an open mind, explored. And after my first year, I requested an extension and then another. I had jobs as a government employee, direct employee, and as a contractor. And, and I got married and I'm still here. It was always going to be one more year, one more year, one more year. And it's been 35 of those.
All right, well, now that we've talked about how we got here, we have some specific questions that they'd like us to answer about Korea and advice about what to do. So the first question is, I'm visiting Korea for the first time this summer. What should I do?
Stay in the air conditioning.
Yeah, okay.
It's hot!
There you go.
It
That's
is
a good
hot! If you're gonna be here for kind of a longer amount of time, go to a kegel. One thing about Korean culture that I actually love in the summer is they go up into the mountains and there are these streams and you sit on this like low-rise table and you eat baeksuk, which is like this like whole chicken that's boiled and it has some like seasonings and some like onions and garlic and stuff in it. It is so hot, but it's the concept of 이열치열, right? Like fight fire with fire. So you're hot in the summer, you're eating this ridiculously hot chicken soup, but you're next to or above this like really cool stream that you can like put your feet into, and like maybe there are like kids playing around in the water. It is like the best Korean summer experience. Have you done it as well?
My wife's relatives many times. yes, back in the day.
I'm clearly missing out, okay?
Because you take the watermelon and you also put the watermelon in the water, so then it's like
watermelon sounds
all. It's definitely, it's one of my favorite things to do. That and like also bingsu, of course.
Okay, bingsu also.
Yeah, that's
Bingsu's
a summer
great.
must.
Do you either of y'all have any recommendations?
I think as much as you want to see like the palaces and everything, if you're going to the palaces in the summer, it's probably not the best time to wear hanbok and take your pictures.
Absolutely.
I see lots of people go to like Gyeongbokgung. Oh, well, we want to wear hanbok and take the pictures inside the palace. Instead, go to like an indoor studio because it is too hot right now in Korea to be walking around. It's dangerous. It's too hot.
Next question. Can you actually survive in Korea without knowing any Korean?
Yes, you can. I can speak to this with experience because most of the people I knew back then knew very little Korean. We knew just enough to get by, to order food, to find our way around. But here's the thing. Today, it's so much easier. You've got English pretty much everywhere now. Restaurants often have English menus. You have English all over the subway. Back in the day, it was just the transfer points on the map had English. Yeah, and there was no English on the loudspeaker. And it was, garbled a little bit, the speaker quality. So it was sometimes hard to understand. So I was always looking out the subway windows. We're pulling into a station, what stop am I at? But these days, you can get by for quite a while without knowing any Korean at all. Yeah. Now, if you're staying here, it's a different story. If you're going to stay here long term, you're going to need some basic Korean.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say you at least need to know English. Yeah. If you don't know Korean or English,
that's a good point.
Then it might be quite a bit more difficult. And I've even gone like in the countryside when I first came to Korea. I got heat stroke because I was in Gyeongju all day in the middle of summer. I went to the hospital. And the doctor was able to explain everything that was wrong with me to a certain extent. Not perfect English, but good enough where I could understand what he was saying.
Like heat stroke, you're not going to die.
Yeah, heat stroke, you're not going to die.
Hydration.
Drink your ion drink, like that sort of thing. So it is possible to survive. I don't think it's possible to thrive, though.
That's a good point.
You're going to be missing out on a lot if you have zero Korean ability.
Maybe like Korean language as a whole is very difficult, especially as an English speaker. But learning the Hangul, being able to read it, I'm a firm believer that it does not take very long to be able to memorize the shapes. It's King Sejong did us a favor with all the...
Yeah.
And that is very, very helpful too. And I would go to like 노래방 and by myself and play a slow song like 만남, turn the tempo down, 우리 만남, and that's how I got better at reading Korean. I didn't know the words I was reading outside, but it still got me a long way.
Yeah, I do that with K-pop lyric. A little faster than 만남. But we got this.
Yeah.
All right.
Next question is, how do you make Korean friends? How do you make friends? is the real question. Korean or not?
I think there are programs within the university for exchange students, so they'll like match you with the Korean students and you can chat with them and they'll answer questions about Korea. You can hang out with them. So it's kind of like an assigned kind of thing. But there's just so many international students coming to Korea that it's not a one-on-one buddy experience anymore. It's a 1v7 now. So I got put in a group with like 10 other foreigners for the semester.
Okay,
And-
with one Korean.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Or if you're just coming to Korea for fun and on your own, making Korean friends, I mean, I guess you just have to be like friendly and open, but at the same time, there's not a lot of small talk culture here.
Yeah,
Or-
becoming friends with a Korean person is different than my experience if I were in the US. I think in the US there is kind of an assumption or a cultural norm to if you see someone new in a group, you go up and
Go up and
introduce
introduce
yourself.
You're like,
Hey,
oh,
how are
come be a part
you?"
of our group.
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. Whereas I feel like not everybody, but there's a general trend I find with Koreans is like they want to see you in the same place, doing the same thing with them for a little while before they're going to start to make contact. So I like go to a CrossFit gym. I'm not super into it. I'm obviously not super into fitness, but even in that experience, I had to like just go and be a part of the classes for a few weeks before I started to have those more like casual conversations like, oh, where are you from? Like it's just like a warming up process that I think takes longer. So
Well, I know people seem to be concerned about this these days because I see this question come up on Reddit.
yeah,
lot.
I've seen
And,
it. Yeah.
Viewers on YouTube email me this question sometimes. I think a lot of it just depends on how introverted or extroverted you are. But also, I would say that 30 years ago, Korean people were more curious. They were more interested in approaching you and talking to you. Just outside on the street, people just used to approach me fairly often on the subway or wherever. Yeah.
Hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, so it was always easy to talk to people. Now, getting to know them and becoming friends, that was a different story.
Yeah.
But I do have a friend who I've known since 1993 who I'm still in contact with.
Wow, that's a true friend then, for sure. All right, so now we've gone through the questions. Now we're going to look at some jazz. We'll get some
Yay.
memes about Korea.
Fun.
Yes. First one.
Iced coffee. 얼주가.
얼주가. Do you know that? Do you know
Yes,
that
of
term,
course,
right?
yeah.
To be honest, I do like some iced coffee in the winter.
I don't drink coffee, but I like my iced tea in the winter.
Yeah, we're from the South, so I guess we all kind of drank iced tea to begin
yeah.
with.
I'm a reformed iced tea drinker. I
Oh,
don't drink it anymore.
gasp.
Yeah,
Is it too sweet or is
Yeah,
it
it's too sweet. And then the unsweetened kind, I just, it doesn't do anything for me. So,
yeah. Do you drink iced coffee in winter?
Yeah, now and again.
Now and again, yeah.
But I can't see myself drinking it every day. I drink hot coffee in the summer too. So.
The thing is I feel like in Korea, they like things really hot. Coffee, yes. Soups as well. When you're
Yes.
eating a hot, it's boiling, and I just can't eat it. I just have to like watch it.
I'll go to when we'd have like a designated lunchtime and we'd all go to like a lunch place and the food comes out and people are immediately eating. I'm like, whoa, okay, we need to wait a little bit. I'm like, do I ask for ice to put in the soup so I can eat at as speed as everyone else? I'm like blowing on it for so long and they're looking at me. It's like, Lily, like everything okay? I just can't do that.
Iced coffee, it's so much easier. If I have to, like in between jobs or like I'm on the move or whatever, just like suck it all down in like one go. Okay, next. Oh, the USA
Yes.
having a
Yes,
huge
yes,
bath
yes.
towel and South Korea having a tiny little, totally agree. It's
Okay.
gotten better. So now you
Really?
can find the bigger American style towels here. But when I first came here, you couldn't really find them. So I had my family send them to me. I was like, Mom, Dad, give me some of those
no
nice fluffy towels.
Yeah.
Here are the colors I want. And they sent them to me.
Yeah. So the towels, I can always find bigger towels, just not the big ones, and the fluffy ones were almost non-existent.
And I think a lot of Koreans have changed as well because you go to like the hotels or whatever here, and now they have
Yeah, hotels have bigger ones.
the
Yeah.
bigger ones as well. One thing though is now dryers have gotten more common.
That's a good point.
Like
Yes.
I have a dryer now in my house. When I first came here, I didn't.
I can see like if you don't have a dryer, that many tiny towels being dried would be a lot faster and more efficient. And Korea is definitely all about that efficiency. But no, I need my big towels.
Something I can never change. That's one American thing I can't change. Next, me searching far and wide for public.
No trash cans. There are no trash cans.
Yeah.
It makes sense though, because they want you to pay to throw out your trash or pay for like the specific like trash bags that are unique to your city area. And so if they just had trash cans everywhere, people would just throw their trash out there. I get it. However, it's very inconvenient. There's just like a mountain of trash near the bus stops because people just like drink their drink and then just put it down when they get on the bus. It's not very environmentally friendly.
You know, I had a friend back in the early 2000s who left, and he went all over the world, and he came back for a visit in 2015. And we were walking down the street at Jongno, and he was carrying an empty coffee cup for a while, and he's like, "Where are all the trash cans? Where did they all go?" Because they used to be everywhere, right? They used to be on every street corner back
Wasn't
in the
it
day.
the bombs?
Yeah, I was
like
about
there
to
was
say,
like a
the
bomb.
practicality,
I-
but there was some reason that they had to get rid of the trash
Well,
cans.
what I've read is that the trash cans on the street, people were dumping all their trash there to avoid buying
Yes,
trash
exactly.
bags when that system first started. So the government started removing them. But I've also read that they're slowly putting them back. And
Interesting.
yeah, and you know, you look at the middle bus stops; they all have trash cans, pretty much.
That's a good
now.
point. The middle bus stops do
Yeah,
have them.
some of the side bus stops do, and I think it depends on the district also.
They need like an app where like you can
They just find the
pull
trash
out, like
can.
there's a map and it just
Crowdsourced,
has the
crowdsourced map.
This
I
is
found
the-
a trash can here.
and it'll give you like it'll tell you how full the trash can is. Next one. 1 minute after sitting on the floor in the restaurant.
Floor linen culture. That's a good point.
I have long legs. This is
Yeah.
me.
Yes.
Yeah, we sit on the floor around those tables, and 10, 15 minutes later, I'm trying to stretch my legs, hoping I
Yeah.
don't kick the person across. I am not built for that, and I,
can't
still haven't gotten
sit
used
like
to it.
what do you call it? Butterfly or like lotus position. Like my
Right.
legs, I go like sideways.
Oh, like the young mandari.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't do that. No, it's not.
It is. I try to start in the young mandari position, the crisscross.
That doesn't
And then
happen.
I like go to like this like weird
That's
like
what I do.
it looks stupid, but it's like this little like mermaid position. I always try and find like the seat by the wall.
Yes, you
So
can
that
lean
you
onto
can like
it.
lean
Exactly.
against the
back,
wall
exactly,
and kind of
yes.
stretch out a little bit.
Yes.
It's tough. Here, it's very common to like watch TV while you're eating
Uh-huh.
and you're back against the sofa, like the bottom part. I do that a lot now. I think that's one thing that's changed. Sitting on the floor.
I think one of the reasons for that is probably because of the ondor. Like the floors
yeah,
are
of course,
heated
yeah.
in Korea, and whereas if you're in the States, it's like you got the heater in the room, but if you're sitting on the floor, I'd argue it's probably colder
Yeah.
than the heat everywhere else in the room.
Next, we are going to Korea's image from the outside. All right. Yes or no? Koreans work too much.
Yes.
I mean, my first company experience was with Talk to Me in Korean. I can say they're very hardworking people, but I didn't really experience kind of the overwork culture. I mean, in the university kind of thing, I see people studying a lot and like pulling all-nighters, but I saw that back in the States too. So I would say my perception of Korea was very much that it's pali-pali, everyone's working all the time, but I haven't really been able to see it. So I'm curious what you guys would think if you're living here for a while.
My impression today is it's better than it used to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew a guy who was a vice president at a mid-range pharmaceutical company, and he was telling me one day how when he was a regular worker back in the day, he couldn't leave the office until the vice president left, the boss, the team boss, whatever, in the office there. But these days, he would sometimes want to go out to eat with people after work, and they're already gone.
Yeah.
They're picking up their kids from daycare or whatever.
A lot of my friends, not all of them, that are my age, they have a regular like 9 to 6 job now generally. So if I
And
want
when
to
it
meet
turns
them,
6 o'clock,
yeah.
they can leave. They don't have to inside to the
yeah, they don't
the
need to.
person,
Their
and they don't go.
Haitian culture has really gone away. Like especially after the pandemic, Haitian isn't really a thing. But I do think that now that 9 to 6 time frame, they generally are working, not necessarily getting over a hangover for the morning time period. I just think more than the average American, the average Korean works, for sure. Next, yes or no, Koreans love K-pop.
I mean, I can tell you this one. I mean, it depends based on, there's like a different age range for K-pop fans here, I'd say. It's like people maybe like in your teens and maybe like up to your 20s would be like the accepted range for like a K-pop fan. Like, but you can still like K-pop, of course, and then you have music you hear on the radio where you can be a fan of. But like the whole fandom culture thing, I'd say is probably geared younger than it is in the States. But not everyone is a K-pop fan here.
Yeah, I think general population, they're a fan of the K-pop that they grew up with.
That's fair.
So whenever you're in anywhere from elementary school to college or whatever, maybe you're a little more interested in what the newest group is, like who's coming out, who's debuting. But then after that, maybe you like some songs, like you said, but those hardcore fans and that fandom kind of isn't as big of a deal.
Because you have to focus on, it's very much like focusing on getting into college or focusing on getting like a good job.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
you can still like listen to the music. Of course you can still like a group and listen to their music. But like fandom activities like, I don't know, collecting photo cards, going to like fan sign events, going to like public recordings and like the studios and whatnot. I feel like you don't see a lot of older people there.
Yeah.
Could be wrong. I've been to a couple and it's mostly just, I feel like I'm the oldest one there sometimes.
Yeah.
I would have barbecue parties at my house, 15, 16, 17, 20 years ago, whatever. And my Korean friends that I would invite over were in their teens or their 20s in the 90s. So on the playlist, I would have, Rura, Tutu, REF, all these groups.
Clone, SES.
Noksek Chide, all these groups from
maybe those are all
from
really
the
old.
90s, and they loved it because that was their era. They're nostalgic for that,
see.
but they couldn't tell you any of the current K-pop groups
That's
at
a
that
good point.
time.
Yeah. Like even BTS, which is like known the world over. I don't know how many like people in their like 50s and 60s could name a single like BTS song.
Maybe they could name Dynamite, but even then, probably not.
I think even less than that because
Really?
it's an English song. Yes or no? Koreans drink a lot.
Yes.
Qualified, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the-
Asterisk. There's
Okay, okay.
yes.
From the university perspective,
Uh-huh.
I've been to the MTs. I've seen like all the parties, and you go to like a club, like a 동아리 meeting, and then afterwards people have the 쥐푸리, and we just drink the whole time.
Did you do the what's it called? 사발식? Is that what it's called? Where you take the big bowl and you mix all the alcohol together and then you have to like
Can't
drink
say
it.
I've experienced that, but that sounds like a time.
Yeah, and the reason I say it's a qualified yes is because I think the drinking culture here is changing.
Interesting. How so?
Well, I've read that there's a decline among young people. They're not drinking
Really?
as much as they used to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
How
also
much
in my
did they used to?
Yeah.
But this
Yeah.
is a decline.
something like 10% this year, and that's over last year, which is already, I think it's since 2023 or something, 2022. It's been on a decline.
Okay.
And also, I've noticed personally, seen and people aren't drinking as often in their companies as they used to.
Yeah.
I think
Especially
there's a
after
decrease there.
COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that kind of ties in with like the Haeshik culture kind of going
right.
away.
Even soju has gotten less strong.
Really?
So the soju of the past used to be a much higher percentage.
Oh, I
and
did know
it's
that. I know that
slowly
there's like
getting-
separate, like
Yeah,
a
yeah.
red lid or whatnot is like a stronger one that you can separately buy.
Yeah,
but
and like they come back with these like older versions that's like a higher
I see, I
percentage of
see.
alcohol.
We could go on for an hour or two about that. I think.
Yeah. Yes or no? Looks matter in Korea.
yes,
There are no two ways about it.
Yeah.
It is.
it's not to like a discriminatory level, I'd say. But
I don't know
okay,
about that.
Maybe. Okay, let me rephrase. It's definitely important when you get like your picture taken for your driver's license or for like your resume. It's like they edit it in the studio. It's like, oh, I didn't ask for these edits. Like that's what's included. It's very much. I mean, this can kind of tie into how everyone thinks that like everyone in Korea gets like plastic surgery and things like that, and that might not be the case either. But I think definitely like a pretty privilege or whatnot is definitely there, whether it's like face or weight or appearance. And
I think that like most countries do have that pretty privilege to some degree. Like if you are better looking, that's going to open doors.
fair.
I think sometimes Koreans are just more straightforward about it.
Yeah.
It is very extreme.
It
both
might-
your physical, like what your body is like, and what you're wearing.
Yes.
Well, I've always seen this as kind of an emergent behavior kind of thing, in that everybody is worried about what other people think about how they look. And so they spend so much effort into trying to improve their appearance. But in reality, if everybody wasn't so worried, it wouldn't be such an issue.
I see.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's always been the thing the experience I've had with my wife. You know, she's always worried about how she looks. I've given up caring how I look.
You look good.
I don't care
You
anymore.
look good, Mike.
But I think it's mostly just emergent behavior. And I think if everybody stopped worrying, it would calm down a little bit.
But I feel like that is very common in Korea. Like education is the same way. Like, do I need to send my kid to Hagwon? I don't know, but everyone else is doing it, so I'm going to send it to
I'm the only one not
Hagwon.
sending my kid to Hagwon, so that's going to give them a disadvantage. They won't get into this good school, which means they can't get this top university job, which means their life is ruined. It's like that's the kind of way that it feels sometimes.
It's the age-old question: why are trees tall? Because the other trees are tall. So you have to be taller to like reach the sunlight.
Yeah.
Like you're just trying to keep up with everybody else. Yeah. Yes or no? Korea is a safe country.
100%. When I told my mother as I was leaving the Army in 1994 that I was planning to stay here, she was really worried. I'm staying alone in a foreign country. And also she was concerned about North Korea. And I said, Mom, I can walk through Seoul by myself at 3 a.m. intoxicated and I'm going to be fine.
Yeah.
I can't do that in Atlanta.
I agree with that. I think I'm not fully 100% on the side of it's an 100% safe country. Just
I meant to say I 100% agree.
Okay, that's fair.
It's not 100% safe. Absolutely not.
But, I mean, as long as you're aware of your surroundings, I'd say it's a very safe area, especially compared to some places in the States. Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to leave things on the table at a
That's
coffee
a good
shop.
point. That's a whole nother cultural difference thing. You can like leave your phone on the table and then go to order and then come back and sit down. It's very much like when you go to a restaurant or like a cafe, they're like, first you have to grab your table first before you can order. It's like, and save it with what? With my computer? Yeah, that's fine. No one will take that.
That's true. I think, yeah, definitely. You're not generally going to have to worry about things getting stolen,
Yes.
except maybe an umbrella.
Or a bicycle.
I've had my umbrella stolen.
I've had my umbrella stolen too. But even though it is generally a safe country, I think, like you said, there are people that have been in some unsafe situations. So, like, don't completely lower your guard.
course.
Absolutely not.
Okay, next one. Yes or no? Seoul feels like a cyberpunk city.
I think maybe on some streets.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like people that get the impression of like cyberpunk or super futuristic, like from a music video or whatever, they're taking all the parts of the city that do exist and putting it together.
That's fair.
Whereas all of those pieces of the city are kind of broken up. So you'd go from that part of the city to like an older part of the city to like the palace of the city. It's not all grouped together. So like a bibimbap of a city, so to speak. Like it's all mixed together and those portions do exist. So it's not a lie. But even this picture, I feel like that's the old part of Korea
Where
now.
was this taken though?
It looks like somewhere in like the Jongno area.
Yeah,
or
Jongno is
something.
what I was
Okay.
thinking.
Yeah.
And you walk down a street like this in this picture at night, I can see
you
how
can
you
feel
get that
that
impression.
light, yes.
And especially if there's like a big screen on a building somewhere showing ads, it kind of reminds you of Blade Runner.
I do think that Korea loves like an LED screen. It's a big flat screen that's pumping a lot of graphics at you.
You think of Samsung Station, Coex Mall there, you've got that big wraparound
yeah.
screen
Yeah,
right there,
that
that
type of
whole area.
stuff.
Yeah.
And like
Well, even the subway, going back to the cyberpunk thing, there's always a really good high resolution screen to look at.
Right.
Like they have tons of advertisements that you can look at. So
I didn't expect to see the ads or like hear the ads when you're on the public transportation either. Like on the buses, it's like location based ads. Like if you drive and the bus passes like this at this hospital, they have X, Y, and Z.
Right.
It's like if you take the same bus line a bajillion times a week, you memorize the ads and the locations of that.
yeah. The elevators
Yes.
have ads, which is another thing that
Yes.
maybe
And, like, the
adds to this
apartment
cyberpunk.
kind
Yeah.
of.
In my apartment, there's a screen that it'll show you the floor, but it'll also show you a nice little like skincare routine you could be doing.
Or, something for your sensitive teeth.
Yeah. Or like,
you're-
if you need life insurance, like
Right.
it's like this is I'm being advertised in my own elevator, like.
Definitely a lot of ads.
Well, we have one final question, and that question is, what does Korea mean to you?
That is a very deep question that could go many directions.
Home.
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 You 35 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not at home in America anymore when I go there.
Really?
And, after 2 weeks, I'm ready to get back here. I still say I'm going home, to visit my parents, but that's just a word. It's not what I feel. So Korea to me is home. I am here.
Like fully established, fully settled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I've been here 11 years. 2 years ago, I got my permanent residency. So I have
Oh,
my,
wow.
I have my green
Congratulations.
card.
Congratulations. I know that test is hard. I'd argue that for me, Korea is a home away from home.
It's your Pyeongchang.
I still feel that the States is my home. It's where I was born and raised. This might not be my home now or in the future, but it's a home away from home.
Yeah.
And you'll always be comfortable visiting here.
Always be comfortable
Yeah.
visiting here.
Obviously, I kind of sit in the middle here. So a Korea that I've only heard stories about or like seen in YouTube videos versus, oh, you saw that change? I was here when it happened.
happened.
I know why it happened. That sort of like that kind of placing our experiences in a larger timeline, I think is always a great way to get perspective. And I'm excited to see, where the next 5-10 years.
The Korea of the future.
Yeah, the Korea of the future. The cyberpunk Korea of the future. Well, I guess this is a good place to end things, and maybe we'll be able to get together in the future and talk about stuff more.
I would like that.
That would be great.
All right. Yay! Let's the Korean ending with clapping. Yeah.
Have you heard of Latin?
Latin Maria.
Back in my day.
Back in my day.
Do you have something like back in my day? Korea was more tough, brutal to them.
Well, I often look on Reddit to see what people are complaining about
Interesting.
when they come here, and comparing that to what we complained about back then. It's the same stuff.
Really?
Yeah, but everything they're complaining about, I'm thinking that is not a problem at all. The lack of English. What do you mean the lack of English? English is
There's English
everywhere.
There's so much English.
Use Papago. Like,
My first taxi ride in Korea, I was up in Dongcheon, and I was going to another village, and we were in this taxi on this winding road in the winter, and the guy said, woo, 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 and it's a white knuckle ride.